Do you remember how much we enjoyed the i30N?
Well, we knew it was a great car, wasn't it?
Look what I've brought you.
Yeah, what is it?
It's the Kona N.
Okay.
N. Not Nürburgring.
Yeah, well, I mean, where does it fit? What is it? Is it a combination of a few different things? It kind of looks like it is to me.
Probably somebody at Hyundai said, Australia loves the hot hatches, they can't get enough of the i30N and the i20N.
Yeah.
And somebody else said, yeah, but they love their small SUVs. There's 30 different models out there already. Why don't we put the two together and make this?
Well, you can see why.
Marketing decision. But is there really a need for it? And is it as good as the i30N hatch?
We need to drive it to find out, really, don't we?
That's your job, mate. I'm just along for the ride. First, the good news. As Hyundai claim, this car is just as fast and just as much fun on the track as the i30N or i20N hatch that we've already reviewed. Yes, really. From the driver's seat, as a weekend track toy or on a twisty mountain road, it's fabulous. However, I don't want one. This is not a car I would park, walk away and then turn around to admire. From the outside, it could be one of literally dozens of overstyled, globby, small front-wheel drive SUVs, distinguished only by some stripes and plastic bibs and bobs tacked on. It doesn't really appeal to me. But hey, you're not me, and that's a good thing. Nobody needs another me. So if you think the Kona N looks sharper than Paul Keating in a Zegna suit, well, good for you, sunshine. Stop watching YouTube right now and just go and order one. You might be disappointed with how many grown-ups you can fit in it, but I promise you won't be disappointed with how well it goes. Now that I've got that off my chest, and remembering how surprised Mark was at the performance of the i30N hatch last year, let's see what Mark thinks. So let me ask you, now we're cruising, what is it with Australia and its love of the small SUV?
Hard to figure out, isn't it? I don't really get it, and they're not on my list of cars to look at or consider at any point in time.
So why are you here today?
Yeah, because I'm paid the big bucks, that's why I'm here.
Oh.
Pretty simple.
inCARnation salary.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm already a big fan of what Hyundai do with their N cars.
Yep.
We've used the i30, the i20. They're both fantastic cars.
Yeah, because it's the same drivetrain, it's the same everything. Same engine, same 8-speed DCT, same electronic smart diff, clever steering. It's all the same as the i30N hatch.
So
just buy it.
It's got the really good bits in it though, hasn't it?
It's got the good bits. If the styling is more to your taste, then just go ahead and buy it. Let me ask you then. You're not an SUV fan. If you did buy an SUV, I noticed an i30N coupe. What are the attributes you look for in an SUV?
Well, I guess, in my mind, if you wanted that type of vehicle, you want room, you want luggage room, you want room for at least 3 kids.
Well, that's a fail.
So this car, or any small SUV, if you can use that term, is a fail on that criteria.
Yeah.
Why do they exist? I think a lot of people just like that feeling of sitting a little bit higher.
Yep.
Which, when these sorts of cars started to become popular some years ago, I guess that was a thing, sitting a bit higher and looking over the roofs of other cars. Oh. But everyone's driving these now, and or bigger SUVs.
Impressive. Thank you. Get in, feel the leather.
You'd be really comfortable, huh?
Oh yeah.
So the high seating position thing just makes no difference at all.
They like to put the kiddies in, luggage, family, go on the holidays, park in your favourite little park, and then you're parked on the wet grass because it's been raining all week, pitch your tent, and then you try and leave. Obviously you want some all-wheel drive to get out. You wouldn't want a front-wheel drive. The funny thing is, Kona, you can buy a Kona all-wheel drive. Kona N-Line with the 1.6 turbo, which is not the high-performance N drivetrain, is an all-wheel drive version. That would have been a really good point of differentiation for this car if they'd put that all-wheel drive driveline.
Wouldn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
You'd have all the performance of the i30N, plus the all-wheel drive. It'd be a little bit more expensive, because as it is, this is just an i30N hatch with a different wrapper.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's sitting a little bit higher. That's about it.
You've got a little bit more headroom, but it's actually a shorter car with a 2-inch shorter wheelbase, and there's less luggage room than in the hatchback.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have thought that in an SUV, would you?
Doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? But maybe that accounts for the fact that these do a very similar lap time around a track to the i30N. The shorter wheelbase could contribute to that from a handling perspective on the track. Yep. Not that you'd ever notice that on the road.
All three of them, the i30N, the i20N, and this round Wakefield Park, just straight off the showroom floor, they all do the same lap time, 110.8 or thereabouts. So that's remarkably good. So as a performance car, it's fast. Hold on, Stu, just a sec. inCARnation is a young channel, and if you haven't seen us before, welcome. Please check out some of the other reviews, maybe give us a like, leave a comment, tell us what you'd like us to review, or just tell me where I got it wrong.
So that's got your settings in there at the moment, Stu?
Yeah, it's pretty much how I like it. I actually like the suspension set normal, soft if you like, because it's still pretty firm.
One of the things that we found with the i30N that I really liked was the EDIF settings on normal and sport. And that really made a lot of difference to the performance of the car.
Well, now we've got a bit of water on the road. That'll help find out. It doesn't seem to be quite as loud and boisterous as the i30N hatch. You see that? Remember how loud that popped and crackled?
I mean, it does have the same engine and setup, doesn't it? But it doesn't quite have that burble on the exhaust.
One thing I will say for it, I drove it down the Hume to Goulburn the other day, cruising at 100 k's an hour on the cruise control, which was very good, a nice, very good adaptive cruise control. It was getting 6 litres per 100k at 100k an hour, and even at 110, 6.7 litres per 100k. Very good economy.
Yeah, that's impressive, isn't it?
It is.
You know, we're talking about why wasn't this an all-wheel drive compared to a front-wheel drive?
Yeah.
And I get, you know, your point. You're out camping, you're on you've parked overnight. Now the grass is wet. You want all-wheel drive to get out of there. But just from a driving perspective, with a car of this size and this power, when it comes to cornering, putting the power down, when you've got a really smart EDIF that this car has, I think front-wheel drive on the road is actually, you know, really good. You're right. I think it's probably having that on soft. It's quite compliant, but it's still handling the bumps really nicely.
It was.
So try it on with a full
again.
hard setup.
Oh, hard?
Yeah.
There's full hard.
You can feel that there, can't you? Over that bump.
Yep.
That diff's working well there, Stu, isn't it?
Yeah, you can feel it?
Yeah. Really puts the power down well. And
I can't feel much difference in the suspension, to be honest. It still seems to be riding pretty much the same. Yeah, that's good. Here it is, our
pretty
favourite
impressive,
corner.
isn't it?
Hey! Survived again.
Maybe that's why we need that slightly higher driving position, Stu. I think I just found the reason for
to see over the top.
that one corner.
Boy.
A bit of axle tramp there.
And yet, loose gravel, potholes.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Mate, it's great. Yeah.
If it appears like I'm on the wrong line, people, it's just because I'm dodging the potholes here.
Yeah. Oh, jeez, it does go. Okay. I'm getting it. And it's just like an i30N.
It is, isn't it?
How's the steering feels good? Is it responsive?
It's a little vague on the steering, if I'm honest. It doesn't give you quite the same feedback.
But the rear is glued down just as much as the other one. Movement from the rear then, just a tiny step.
Yeah, when the road is damp. That diff is absolutely superb.
Man.
Doesn't have the rasp through the exhaust that the i30 did.
Yeah, not quite as loud. Okay, so let's go back to cruise mode. Look, rainbow.
On a damp road, would all drive be any better? Probably not.
I mean, it does have this traction button here. So when you go traction, you see on the dash you've got snow, deep snow. We might encounter some of that today. Mud, sand.
So that'll just change the throttle response and give you a longer throttle if you're in mud or sand. So you're not, you know, you've got more travel and more torque, sort of less power, less wheel spin, and that would probably work quite well in that situation.
So that's a point of differentiation from the hatchback because you don't get that. So between this and the premium version, there's two versions. Premium version gets 10-way adjustable driver's seat, 8-way adjustable passenger seat, sunroof, head-up display. The heated and cooled seats are really nice, that kind of thing. That's another $3,000 or thereabouts.
The seats have reasonable support so far. I haven't been driving it for that long.
Yeah.
Lumbar support just doesn't seem to be great.
All you've got is a height adjustment. and backrest, and that's it. So if you can live with that, and they are good. I'm enjoying it. I'm comfy. Just cruising down the highway. I wasn't enjoying the road noise. The Pirelli seem to be quite noisy. I believe the Michelins on other models are better, the Pilot Sport 4Ss, and we found that ourselves. And the P0s, even though they're a special Hyundai flavour for this car, very subject to the different road surfaces. So there's quite a bit of thump and drum there. I did find the steering to be just a little bit more disconnected.
Yeah, it doesn't quite give you the feedback, even running through the different settings with steering here.
Here comes the chocolate milk pothole test. Do I slosh my milk all over my face when you hit this massive hole here? Here we go. Oh.
Good on you, Stu.
Oh, that's a fail.
On the inCARnation shirt, straight to the dry cleaners.
Oh no, that's a brand new shirt too. Look how fussy it is.
Yeah.
Bibs and bobs everywhere.
There's lots of little bits and pieces there that they've put on for some reason. Bit of air coming in there, exiting out there in front of the wheel. Obviously doing something important.
Not really.
Our vents here, what are these, Stu? Nothing.
They don't go
Little
anywhere.
plastic
Decoration.
adornments.
Decoration.
Yeah, there's a lot of decoration on there. It seems a bit unnecessary, but
I don't normally like matte or satin finishes at all, but with this colour, it does accentuate all the curves pretty well.
the sculpture side of it.
It does work for this car.
Yeah.
It is not gravity gold. That's the name of it. That is platinum. Any day of the week. Platinum silver.
I mean, the back of the car is a little over the top, isn't it? You appear to have two sets of tail lights. Obviously, these look kind of cool, and they thought, well, let's just stick some more LED lights in there, and you know.
It's like, hey, here's a space that's not doing anything. We better whack something there.
I mean, I have heard people referring to these as diffusers, but that's just a little bit of plastic hanging off the back of the bumper. It's not doing anything other than kind of, I suppose, looking a bit cool. I do like the exhaust in that it's a real exhaust, a big fat exhaust that is actually doing something. So I do like that, it's cool. Your brake light up there, right up the top, and that's a really good idea.
Okay.
Let's go back to the i30N, Stu. That's my car of choice when it comes to Hyundai. Yeah.
I actually like the swept-back sedan. You better do some more driving, that's what you're good at.
Yeah, let's do some more driving.
So, is it doing it for you? Is it hitting
Some parts of it are. The performance of it, yes. The diff is fantastic. Is it doing it for me? Probably not. I don't like the styling, and I don't like this sort of small SUV type of vehicle as a rule. Whereas I got out of that i30N and I thought, yeah, I would buy one of these.
Yeah.
I want one.
And yet they're essentially the same. So we're fashion victims, basically.
Yeah.
We did have quite a bit of axle tramp though on that takeoff.
Yes.
Bang, 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 as it's it's just not nice.
Well, you know, any front-wheel drive car struggles, high-performance front-wheel drive car struggles putting power to the ground on a standing start. That's why you've got your launch control.
Okay, full brake.
There we are. So there we have our launch control, folks.
For the fun you get, it's too much effort to go through all that process.
But it does get rid of that axle tramp that you get.
It does. It works.
Really tunes that out nicely, so it's very clever in the way that it does that.
And the numbers won't be realistic because there was a loose surface back there as well, so it was still struggling for grip. But it tried.
The DCT transmission is really very, very good. Really impressive tractions here. Diff set. So what's diff setting are we in there?
What setting are we on? You're in just normal drive at the moment.
Yes. So that's a normal.
So that's why it wasn't.
So you could see how when I got on the power, then it just walked straight across the road.
Yeah. So the EDIF wasn't switched on. Right button twice to get your custom settings. There, that one. Okay. So that's how it is at the moment. Yeah, full on everything.
Big difference in the diff, isn't it?
It is actually fairly fun.
And honestly, that's just such a great feature of this car.
Yeah. That's its strength. You said the strength of this car is its engine. I think it's that EDIF.
Yeah. They've been able to take, turn a front-wheel drive car into a really fun car to drive. I mean, in terms of putting power down around tight corners, I think you'd be going well to find a car, including Porsche Cayman GT4s and everything else, that's going to push around a tight corner on a damp road like that at that sort of speed. So, you know, Hyundai have done a great job with that. There's no doubt about it.
Mind you, we had potholes back there that were big enough to swallow an entire Nissan Micra.
Yeah.
So, nothing's going to cope with those.
No.
You like the Ioniq 5, but it wasn't playful in the sense that this is playful, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know, you can really adjust the weight transfer of the car with throttle in the corners. And you notice it was coming up the hill, they were hardly using any brake pressure, just lifting off the throttle. Weight comes on the front, tuck it in, get on the throttle coming out.
Yep. The Ioniq 5 didn't do that, did it? It just had grip everywhere.
Yeah.
But it didn't have that lift-off balanced weight transfer.
It's an inherent aspect of all EVs, really, with the weight distribution and the centre of gravity being so low.
Listen, of all the SUVs of all the cars you could compare this to, I reckon the closest one, oddly enough, is the Mini Cooper, John Cooper Works.
Yeah, right.
Countryman.
Okay.
Because it also has aspirations to be a performance hatch on the track. It's actually got more power, 225 kilowatts, and over 400 newton meters.
Yeah, right.
It's quicker 0 to 100, 5.1 instead of 5.3. And unbelievably, it's got a longer wheelbase and more room and more space in the back. A Mini has more space than this, but not necessarily any more fun.
No.
And that's an awful, you know, you're talking 70, 80 grand.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that is fun.
Yeah. It's impressive. A little bit of limiter there.
Yes. Now it's popping and crackling.
So you do get a bit of that, don't you, Stu?
Don't you get it dirty. You don't expect a car like this, a front-wheel drive, to launch uphill on wet clay.
Over corrugations.
The radio's good too. Harman Kardon sound, although you'd never know. We haven't tried the entertainment system. Look, I brought a CD, one of my favourite. Dred Zeppelin. It's Elvis and Bob Marley and Robert Plant all got together and formed Dred Zeppelin. And I can't see where to stick it in.
Yeah. There's your problem today, right, Stu?
Yesterday's technology.
At least you're not going to try and shove a cassette in it like you did with our
in the Porsche.
911 Porsche recently.
Well, it's a car we know has track pretensions, Mark, because look at the list of circuits they now have. They used to only have Sydney Motorsport Park and Wakefield, but now we've got the whole gamut of Australian and New Zealand tracks.
Yeah, see if you can find rodent cars way out in New Zealand.
They don't have rodent cars.
Really?
Near Christchurch.
What's going on?
Okay. And they also don't have Bathurst, Mount Panorama, because it's most of the year. It's a road, public road, and they would not want to be seen to be encouraging people to go fanging on public roads.
You can see the logic behind that, can't you?
Yeah. However, any other track, like if you wanted to go to Sydney Motorsport Park, not only can you go to the track, you can choose which particular track layout you want. You can get it to automatically detect that you're there and start giving you lap times straight away. How good is that?
It's clever. Good feature.
And, like all the other Hyundai models, the warranty applies when you're on track, non-competition events.
You got to congratulate Hyundai with that, haven't you? They stand by their products if they're offering warranty under those really extreme circumstances. I wouldn't mind betting they don't have too many warranty claims because the cars are a strong car and they're really built for it.
Yeah.
You can drive them hard and thrash them, and I love it. We have to thank Hyundai, don't we? It's been great to have some time with this car today. We've still really enjoyed it.
And look, it scored really well on the points. There are the points there.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's right up there.
There's a lot
and
there.
it's got heaps.
There's almost
and
too
history
much.
as well.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to see a history of your oil temp, you know, over time.
Fascinating.
Yeah, well, it is. And your throttle percentage. Hey, you had a full throttle moment about an hour ago.
Yeah, I wonder what we were doing there.
That'll be your launch control.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. But having done all that, now we've gone back to quiet mode. We've got the exhaust sound back to normal. It's actually better, isn't it?
Yeah.
That brrr was starting to get on my wick a little bit.
Yeah. No, it certainly does after a while. Soften the suspension off, quieten the exhaust down. It's just an everyday, car you can drive around in without becoming annoying and becoming too harsh.
But if that's all you want is a normal car, you don't have to spend 52 grand for it. You could just buy a standard Kona starting at $29,640
Yeah.
for base entry level
Yeah, that's
Kona,
true.
which is nothing like this car, but that's a significant saving.
Yeah, it's huge, isn't it?
Imagine what you could do with that $25,000. Well, that's it, folks. A quiet end to our review of a pretty boisterous car. It is a Jekyll and Hyde car, isn't it? Now, but just before the election, remember when the previous government reduced the fuel excise, going, we're going to bring petrol prices down, so they cut the 42.5 cents a litre we pay in half.
Cut in half every time they fill up.
And they said, you'll feel it at the
Yeah.
pump. Anybody that doesn't pass it on to the consumer will be in deep trouble.
Yeah.
The competition watchdog will monitor retailers to make sure that these savings are passed on in full.
And it was $2.20 a litre before that. So we'd save at the pump. Remember when it was over
Yeah.
$2 a litre? And it dropped down to $1.99 a litre.
Yeah, for a little while.
How much is it? Holy crap.
In September, they put the rest of the fuel excise tax goes back on in September,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll be up another 40 cents a litre.
Yeah, but money that just went straight to the petro companies as profiteering.